Hello and welcome to TAG, a trusted business partner in web compliance protocols. But what is web compliance? Well, chances are you're watching this on a website. At this point, most businesses are well acquainted with the importance of being on the web. However, many businesses are not acquainted with the importance of legal compliance for their website. What exactly is legal compliance of your website and how do you achieve it? It's a question that many businesses may have, but few may have the answers to. Today, we're going to focus on how to enable you to identify if your website is legally compliant and how to adapt it to make sure it is legally compliant. Legal compliance is important because over the past decade, website litigation has ramped up dramatically. And if you have a website, you could find yourself in a legal situation you'd rather not be in. However, with the help of a trusted marketing partner like TAG, you can bring your website into compliance and potentially avoid any messy situation. First, a couple of questions to ask yourself with regard to your website. Does your website have text and images that have the correct ratio for contrast? Do your marketing sliders and scrolling testimonials give users enough time to read? Can your website be navigated by the keyboard? Can your website be read properly by a screen reader? And is there a confirmation mechanism provided before the user finalizes a submission? So how does your website stack up? A recent study found 5 key areas where websites fail to provide people with disabilities an inclusive digital experience. Number 1, lack of notice of non-discrimination on the website. Number 2, not enough accessible information on accessing services. Third, failure to comply with existing regulations, which we'll deal with in much more detail later. Fourth, mobile accessibility. The majority of people today access the web on a smartphone, and yet accessibility is still a major problem. And then finally, depicting disabilities. That is to say, not enough images of disabled individuals on the website, which can be interpreted as showing a lack of empathy and inclusiveness. We're going to address some of the major guidelines here for compliance and the primary driver of all of this, the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. The ADA states that federal agencies, as well as academic institutions that receive financial benefits from the federal government, must have a website that is compliant and that provides for disability assistance. In addition, any commercial entity that has places of public accommodation, which includes the internet since 2010, has to have a compliant website. If they don't, there can be lawsuits and other complications. The risks are very real. Compliance lawsuits have hit new peaks each year as people are suing companies with websites that aren't compliant. Now called Anthem, WellPoint Health Networks was the name of the American Health Insurance Company, predecessor to Blue Cross of California. The insurer was slapped with an ADA lawsuit by 2 visually impaired persons living in the state of California. Bottom line here is that they entered into negotiations and the site was made compliant through these negotiations, but a lawsuit was tendered. Andreas Gomez, who is legally blind, recently filed an ADA lawsuit against CAC of Florida Medical Centers in the Federal District Court in Florida, claiming that he wasn't able to access the company's website via a screen reader. The National Federation of the Blind versus Target lawsuit was brought to bear, and Target was fined $6,020,000 in that lawsuit. Again, the National Federation of the Blind filed a lawsuit against H&R Block, and they were fined $100,000 in that settlement agreement. If you are not compliant, the bottom line is that you are not serving the public, and there is a possibility that somebody could bring a lawsuit against you. Will that happen? Do you want to take that chance? we're going to go into the benefits of a compliant website. Not only do you serve the public, reach a larger audience, and serve people with disabilities, but if your website is compliant, it actually helps your search engine optimization or SEO. So more people will be seeing your site. The second benefit is obviously to avoid litigation. It appears that in the courts, most are denying motions to dismiss whenever the ADA compliance is part of the litigation. The bottom line is that there's no way out of it. Again, just reminding you that this is all about the law. And finally, when you make your content accessible, you give people with disabilities an inclusive experience. They'll have a much more favorable reaction toward you and recommend you because people react strongly and emotionally to these considerations. There are 61 million adults in North America that have some form of disability. This ranges from physical to cognitive disabilities. Websites should consider this. Here are a few ways in which they can. Contrasting colors or lack thereof on a website can be difficult for people who might have color blindness issues or just poor vision. Those viewers might not be able to differentiate and read the content. Also, every time there's an image on your site, you need a text alternative. This is a verbal description of an image to a person who might not be able to see it and is accessing the text-to-voice option. This also ties in with SEO as keywords can be utilized in this content. Also, if there's any video on your website, there needs to be some kind of closed captioning or a transcript. Just general closed captioning is good, but a transcript that actually describes what is happening in the video is better to be considered fully compliant. These are just some of the things that need to be considered when making your website fully compliant. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's important that you partner with an agency like TAG that is trained in compliance and best marketing practices to follow the law and to be a great business partner. Having a fully functional and legally compliant website is crucial in today's world. Not just for avoiding litigation, but for best serving the people who come to your website. TAG can help you navigate these often difficult waters, and we look forward to having the opportunity to do so. Please contact us for a consultation. We look forward to hearing from you and helping you on the road to website compliance.